incentivized to do it again. Okay, so it's the same thing with eating. If you eat something that's not healthy for you, then you have a sense memory that it might taste good in the moment, but then the energy packet that you get from it may be poor quality or even worse, take energy away from you. So strength is something that you have to tap into the thing that's going to gain you the strength. Does that make sense to you? So I want to hear from you. Any questions in the chat room about this? All this time I've been waiting to get the motivation to get up and do something that, find the strength. And then I don't, there's no strength to be found until I actually engage in it. Does that make sense to anybody? Can you guys call in and participate and uh, uh, tap into your own strength by picking up the phone or asking a question and generating the strength by doing something, even something that you don't want to do, like calling in and being vulnerable and asking a question, or even feeling confused about what I'm talking about. Any questions in the chat room so far?
There is one. It says, can you
Okay.
explain how cognitive flexibility, big words for me, contributes to problem solving and how it can be strengthened?
Well, cognitive flexibility. Okay, so I wish an example would be given by that, but how it can increase strength and flexibility. Wait, say that again. How does cognitive flexibility?
Let's see here. Can you explain how cognitive flexibility contributes to problem solving and how it can be strengthened?
Okay, so cognitive flexibility is like any kind of flexibility in that it's expansive and it generates new ideas and taps into new synapses. So if you're cognitively inflexible, you will just loop through and keep going over the same solution over and over. But if you're cognitively flexible, then you will try different things and look into generating different ways of seeing and being in the world. So going back to my original mind map, um, the whole gist of the mind map is to have a new way of being and a new way of seeing, which is represented by panel number 7. So if you look at panel number 7, it's an actual paradigm shift, which is a representation of cognitive flexibility, because it's not the Freud, it's not repetition principle. It's not just generating the same old. It's actually um, new experiences, new sensations, new colors, new admixtures of colors. If you look at panel 7 as a metaphor, you could see that the blue combined with the yellow is going to give it a different color, and the red combined with the yellow is going to give that a different color. So everything is flexible in that it's not the same old, same old. So in order to be cognitively flexible, stop doing the WTF. So if you go back to the old mind map, you can see what the cognitive inflexibility creates, which is the same old core beliefs. See panel number 3. So core beliefs that are based on lies, based on misinformation, miscoding. And if you keep following the old coding, which is the opposite of cognitive flexibility, what does that break down into? Chaos, defenses, and breakdowns. So there's no generativity in cognitive inflexibility. Actually, that rhymes. I kind of like that. There's no generativity in cognitive inflexibility. So with the new mind map, you are applying your cognitive flexibility by tapping in to your light. You're tapping into your vision. You're tapping into your goals. You're tapping into things that'll generate strength for you and empower you. to move through your process into eventually tapping your resources and meeting your challenges and generating solutions, which is cognitively flexible for you because it's not just solutions that you always apply to your life. These are new solutions. And sometimes, in order to be cognitively flexible, you have to be around people that are going to have different philosophies, different ideas. I call them wisdom masters. And so wisdom masters are those people in our lives that are generative. So they will show you a new way of seeing things, a new way of being, a new way of viewing your problem. Maybe it'll be through a new lens. And that's what geniuses do, don't they? They see things through a new lens. If you think of the geniuses of our time, you know, they're looking through a telescope or a microscope, or they're looking at the patterns of the universe and trying to figure out mathematical formulas. So this is what I mean by cognitive flexibility: is you drop the old lens and you consider picking up a brand new lens. And sometimes if you don't have one or you don't know how to have one, you can expand your flexibility, expand your mind by reading books, exploring wisdom, philosophies, mathematics, biology, any one of the sciences, any sort of a lesson from psychology, or any of the world information that other people have generated. And what's really great about that is sometimes when you look through their philosophy, you might even see something new. And that's how knowledge is generated. So somebody might have an idea, but then a student might pick up the idea and have a new idea about that idea. And then another student might see that same thing and pick it up and generate a new idea about that idea that was generated about that idea. So it's an expansive growth process. It's not just stagnant. I hope that answers the question. And I'd like to hear from you, because it's really important that we don't sit around and wait to be strong. It just doesn't work, and it's going to waste a lot of your time. And I think that you're going to feel very stuck and disappointed in yourself if you're waiting around to find the strength to get up and find the strength to do a new hobby and find the strength to open a business, or find the strength to, you know, sometimes it's in the action. So taking the action and plugging into the energy of that action will actually generate your strength, which is really different than sitting around and waiting to be strong to do that very thing, which is, I think, philosophically not going to work.
Dr.
Anybody
I
want to
do.
disagree with me?
I do have another question, but I do want to thank two people. One from Red Velvet from Maryland from joining in, and Patricia from the UK. Please, we want to thank them for tuning in. That's very appreciative.
Thank you.
But we do have a question from the chat room. It says, I'm feeling stuck and I'm feeling very overwhelmed. And with the mind map, where should I start? With the old one or the new one?
Okay, I would say start with the old mind map, really, because there are too many childhood wounds that make us feel stuck. Old core beliefs like I'm not good enough, I'm not smart enough, I'm not talented enough. And if you're still stuck in that, then go through those childhood wounds carefully. And I have two videos up there that you can purchase if you don't want to do therapy. I respect that. Not everybody wants to lay down a bunch of money to do the therapy. So I have the Old Mind Map, the 9-panel series for healing from childhood wounds. That's the first video I did many years ago, and it'll break it all down, and you get the Be the Cause book with it. And the second one is healing from narcissistic abuse, and you can purchase that one on my website. And if any one of you can't afford it, then just reach out to the Psychological Healing Center and we'll try to make it affordable to you. I really do want to leave the planet being a participant in helping people heal and helping them heal through their childhood wounds so they can be more creative, they could be visionary. So if you find that your lens of perception is blurred with lack of confidence and post-traumatic stress and complex post-traumatic stress of trauma, then do Mind Map 1 first. And once you've cleared the pathway and you feel that you're in a little bit of a better shape, then jump into Mind Map Your Future, because the road will be clearer. And one of the reasons that I'm jumping into Mind Map Your Future at this stage is that a lot of people over the years have been doing Mind Map 1 and healing and going through the 9 panels and doing the therapy and reading my book. And so I wanted to give people the next step. So this is the next step. And so really, have a talk with yourself about whether you are tripping over childhood wounds and stuck, in which case, please do Mind Map 1. And if you want a therapist to lead you through it, contact me. I'll put you in touch with somebody. If you want to work with me, let me know that too. And if you've done all that work already and you're ready for the next step, this is where you could start putting to work all of the good work of your healing, because once you're healed, you're in shape to start having visions and really manifest your light and become the best of your best. I start talking about that in Mind Map 1 and panel 7, 8, and 9, which is the paradigm shift and the generating a new healing code, which is the new DNA, and striking balance within yourself and within your community and globally. But the paradigm shift doesn't happen when you're all stuck and constipated with your problems. Not to mean that we're going to be perfectly healed, because perfect healing is an ideal state. I don't think anybody is perfectly healed. We're all going to, on some level, have scars, the trials and tribulations of being a human being. And every day we run into issues that hurt our feelings and even physically compromise us and hurt us and challenge us and make us weaker just simply by physical interferences and aging process and not eating the right foods. But Mind Map Your Future is something that you shouldn't hesitate to do once you feel that you've done a lot of that hard work. And even if you're at a point where you still have negative core beliefs, but you can identify them and make that cognitive adjustment and be cognitively flexible enough to say, yeah, that core belief that I ingested from my family of origin is a lie. I know that I get tripped up by the lie once in a while, but I'm not going to continue to buy into it. Even if you're at that stage where you still get a little tripped up by it, but not enough to stop you from moving forward. So just as long as you're in good, it's like there was a psychologist, I think he was a psychiatrist, Winnicott. He said that there's a concept called good enough mothering. Good enough mothering is not perfect mothering, but it's good enough to mirror and attune to your child and get the child through developmental phases that are essential to creating strength and growth. Good enough simply means that nothing's going to be perfect. There are always going to be failures. and trip ups. And trip ups are also cursed by designs, because every time we trip up, it's an opportunity for us to self-reflect and self-correct and get a little bit stronger. So I think that we are really built to not be in a perfect world, just because evidence speaks for itself. We're not in a perfect world. And that imperfection is a part of our makeup and part of the challenges that we have to face in order to overcome the challenges. It's sort of like when I go to the gym. This morning I went to the gym and my trainer put a extra weight on my weights. I said, "Oh my God, like how much is that?" And she goes, "Oh, it's only 80 pounds." And I went, 80 pounds? You think I'm going to be able to do that? And she goes, "Yeah, I think you could do that." So I got down and picked it up, and lo and behold, I was able to pick up those weights, and I was sort of surprised. And then I put it down and I picked it up again and again and again. She made me do 3 sets of 5 of those. So that's 5 times 8. That's 400 pounds of weights in one. 3 times what? 3 times, no, that's, 5 times 80, right? That's correct. 5 times 8. Okay, so 5 times 8. That's what it was. So that was something that didn't look like I could do it, but once I did it, I generated the strength. So I didn't generate the strength first. Picking it up generated the strength to pick it up again. And by the way, finally my math mind kicked in. 5 times 8 is 40, right? Okay, I hope.
Yes, it is.
Okay, how much is it?
40.
Thank you. I thought so. Late in the day, my mind starts fading. So again, and now that I know that I could pick up 80 pounds, that action has now incentivized me to go back and dip into the pot of strength and generate more strength. So it's generative. It's not something that I woke up in the morning to find the strength to do. It's through doing that I found the strength. Okay, I really want to emphasize that. For mind map 2, it's the doing that generates the strength. Any other questions in the chat room or comments?
Yes. So this one I kind of can relate to myself. It says, how can I use the mind map to break down my goals into smaller, more manageable steps that keep me motivated?
Okay, so first of all, you have to have a vision, because without a vision, you don't want to have the little goals. Okay, so do you mind sharing what your vision is, and then we can get into that, so we could start to brainstorm what those little mini goals could be.
So if you could, if you could say that in the chat room, I'll relay it. But just personally, Dr. Judy, as an entrepreneur and as a, I guess a creative, I think of the big picture, where the big picture can become overwhelming, and because all I think about is the big picture and the final results. So instead of breaking it down into a smaller, what needs to be done and what I need to focus on first to get to the end goal.
Okay, so in the mind map, which is something that people can actually sign up for and journey through, I really would love to start a group on it. However, that's complicated because I have to have enough participants that are ready to go and get involved with it, and then enough participants who are able to do it at the same time, at the same place, and all that has to happen in real time. But one of the things that is important to break it down is to have little tiny micro habits. And I think I spoke about this in one of my videos that every little bit counts. So I know we want to have these huge plans, okay? But every little bit counts. So Tony, do you want to be my guinea pig for the day and and
Yes.
take your big vision and micro planet? Is that
Sure.
something that you're willing to do?
Okay, doke. I can do
Okay.
that.
Okay, so give me a macro plan and then we can break that down.
A macro plan of a vision, right?
Yeah, big one.
Okay, so I want to create a food product that I can eventually sell to Whole Foods.
Okay, a food product that you can eventually sell to Whole Foods.
Yes.
Right? Okay, so that's the big plan.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so that's going to require some micro things, correct? So
Right.
I'm
And what,
brainstorming.
but yes, I get overwhelmed when I start breaking it down to smaller because it is overwhelming.
Yeah. I mean, actually, I love what you're up to. I once did that. I
Oh, wow.
developed a food product. It was actually a vitamin bar for pregnant women.
Oh,
And
wow.
I was so excited about it. I got so far as to present it to a huge vitamin company, and they loved it. I was there with a gynecologist who was in total
Wow.
support of my project. So I felt pretty good about myself. And then they killed the project because they didn't want to risk a product that involved pregnant women. It was sort of like too risky. Okay.
Right. Okay.
So I think it would have been better for me. Okay, I may not be doing it in any particular order, but I would ask myself, why wouldn't they want your project?
Project or product?
Like, okay, so you have a product,
Mm-hmm.
okay? So I'm a fan of trying to do away with resistances. Okay.
Uh-huh.
So
Right.
I would have a list of why no. Like I would actually role play it out with somebody and it might sound like something like, "Hey Tony, it's a great idea, but,"
Right.
you know, like and it's a great idea, but I don't like the name. It's a great idea, but it's complicated because we have other products like it.
Right.
It's a great idea, but the other products like it have more nutrients in them. It's a great idea, but other products like it appeal to more women. I like it, but the other products like it um,
Mm-hmm.
are cheaper to make.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Okay. So because once you're out there, you're going to get a lot of resistance. Does
Mm-hmm.
that make sense?
Yeah. For me, this is for me, not everybody. The more people that tell me no, the more it motivates me. It's always me that get overwhelmed with my tasks, not other
Okay, so
people's.
I want you to, okay, great, that's fine. So let's use your motivation. So I want you to tell yourself, no, this, no, that, no, 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 no,
Mm-hmm.
no. And then I want you to have an answer for every no. Because if I would have had an answer going into this vitamin company about that, I might have come out shining. I don't know, but I
Right.
didn't even think about that. So think about anything and everything, okay? And then here are some questions that actually get asked in the course of this mind map, your future journey. What micro habits will help turn your vision into reality? So micro habits might be something like going online and checking similar products,
Mm-hmm.
but you do that every day, like not like once a week, but
Right.
you go online and you research everything and anything that looks like, smells like, and walks like. So name me three micro habits that you could do.
Uh, I mean, for me, I would reach out. I mean, this is. I don't know if it could be micro or make. maybe. I would reach out to a smaller, successful products. I know they don't want a competition, but I would try to find some type of mentorship. Maybe not, they wouldn't do that, but I don't have a problem asking for that. But I would go to every Whole Foods or any other health food stores, and I would buy products that I would be similar to, and taste test and look at the ingredients, see what can be better, what can be removed, how we, less calories or whatever. I definitely would do that. I don't know if that's what you're asking, but
Yeah, I mean, look, there are no right answers. And if there's a bigger fish in the ocean that you can tag along with, and you could say, look, I have an idea for you, sign what's that called? A release form,
non-disclosure or whatever.
non-compete, right?
Yeah.
And that's no guarantee of anything, because I guess they could change it. But if you can say, look, I have an idea that's going to um, increase your productivity or add to. There's nothing wrong with adding to.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so for example, if somebody came to me and said, Dr. Judy, you have this amazing clinic, psychological healing center. I want to add value to your clinic, and I want to head up the nutritional department because I know that by eating better, your mental health will be better and your mental clarity will be better, and you will increase your likelihood of finishing tasks better. And I don't have a nutritional department, I might include that.
Right. Right.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
So see where you could be of added value.
Right. Yeah.
Okay, that might be a micro habit, is check to see what it is that you could do to increase somebody else's value, because it sure takes a lot of money. Like for example, I wasn't going to start a nutritional bar for pregnant women on my own. I don't have a laboratory. I don't
Right.
have
Yeah.
ingredients. I don't know formula.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to be an added value to something that was already in existence.
Which makes sense. Why?
Okay.
Why and reinvent the wheel, as they say.
Why reinvent the wheel? But I can add value to somebody else's wheel.
Right. Exactly.
Okay, so that's another way. And then you want to track your progress. So sometimes it's nice to have a little journal. It doesn't have to be anything complicated, but it could be something like, uh, you know, Tony's map to success on this project. And then every time you do anything, even think about something, you write it down, you jot it down. And it might look like a lot of gibberish, but after a while, you go back over it and you circle the things that are going to take you a little bit closer to your goal.
Mm-hmm.
And then you cross off things that are just redundant, and then you add things that you think could enhance the things that you circled. So it starts looking like a real messy thing, but then over time you could re-edit it and then clean it up and make it nicer. I remember when I first started, my very first company was called Habit Breakers Stop Smoking. And I remember that I was so on fire about it because I really wanted to help people to stop smoking. I really wanted my own clinic. And I remember staying up all night and drawing a logo. And I drew this thing. I must have drawn it over and over and over. And my brain didn't like it. My brain didn't like it. And then my brain started liking aspects of it. And I kept massaging it. And I ended up with like a kind of like an upside down triangle with an H and a B, Habit Breakers. And then the triangle was that very thing that splintered the habit and broke it. So it was very symbolic, which is, how my brain thinks anyway. But sometimes you just have to doodle. I really encourage doodling if you're artistic. doodle the logo, doodle the name. Sometimes you might pick up something from a conversation, enter into conversations with people. You might want to just polling people, like, oh, what flavor do you like? And, if there were a product like it, would you use it? And how much do you think you would pay for it? What color do you think the package should be? And what would make it really fun for you to pick it off of the shelf? And why do you pick things off of the shelf? What colors do you usually gravitate to? So when you buy something, do you buy the red one or the orange one or the yellow one, or you do the brown and the yellow one, or, like you just want a lot of little micro things in that booklet. And don't try to make the large project yet. Get all those micro habits together so that you have something that's beginning to take shape. Does that make sense?
That does make sense to me.
And don't panic if it's not the big thing yet.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I was going to say that does make sense, because I think a lot of us, we overthink things, and sometimes
we overthink things, and sometimes the light just shines and trickles in, so you might get a glimpse of that and a glimpse of this, and maybe you want to just spend a day at the supermarket and look at things and just stare at things and start asking, I wonder why I'm reaching for this product. I wonder what people think, and then you could research it. Do people like dates more than they like apricots? Do they like peanuts more than they like walnuts? Do they, like, you start getting into the little micro habits and micro thoughts, and then it becomes this fun project, and then you add to it. So it's kind of like you're building it.
Love that, and we do have some more questions in the chat room. Okay. I do want to read this from Andy, which Andy says, I love the mind map.
Thank you,
I want the mind map, the future now. I want to work with Dr. Judy. Well, that's pretty easy to do.
Just call me. I'm so excited about it, and I'm ready to go. And today I did something different. I use myself as the bad experiment. I am the bad experiment. I have been stuck on not drawing for so long, and then I build up resentment against myself, and then I take out my stupid little pad and make a stupid little doodle and put it aside, saying, oh, that's not good enough, like, oh my God, what am I doing? So today, instead of waiting to get the strength to do it, I figured that I was going to go somewhere to give me the strength, just like I'm telling you. So I went to this company called Drawn to Art. They should give me credit for this, by the way. But I did go there, and I talked to a woman, and she said, well, why don't you take a class for free and just, start getting into it. And, it doesn't have to be the perfect art class. I'm not going to wait for that. It's just like I picked something that's convenient enough and close enough to my home. And she just told me to show up. So two things that I did this week that actually one last week and one this week are two things that I've been wanting to do. And you know what? It's not about getting the strength to do it. It's about actually showing up. And one is that I've been wanting to play pickleball. And so I showed up to a pickleball court, and then that generated energy and strength and desire to play it again. It's actually a really, really fun game and very doable. And then the art thing, I could sit there and wish and pray that I got the strength and the motivation to do the art. Not happening. So I just have to show up, get my hands dirty, not worry about it, and let somebody else that does this all day long to sit down with me, or a class of people that are into it, and plug into that strength that other people have already generated. So that's what I decided to do. And so far, it's working. And I'm no longer going to wait until, like that book, Waiting for Godot. I'm not waiting to get motivated to do my art. I'm not waiting to get motivated to play pickleball. I'm just going to show up and do it. So that's whatever that means to you, Tony. Just show up and research it, ask questions, have fun with it, role play with people, make a bad version of what you're trying to do and see how you can improve it. Anything. Pretend that you already produced it and make a rough draft of a stupid looking version of it and then go from there. Because sometimes, how a blank slate is scary, even if I have a blank piece of paper and I put a few lines on it, it's better than having that blank piece of paper, because at least with a few lines, I can connect the lines, or I could color the lines, or I could turn the lines into squiggles. So I would say, be like a child, play, make a bad, ugly version of your product.
Love that. Love that. And I'm going to take that advice and I'm going to make it happen.
Make it happen. And I want to be your first customer. I have no idea what you're up to.
We'll have to talk about that.
What's that?
We will talk about that later.
Yeah, I'd love to talk about that with you. And when it's ready, I'll be your first customer, and I'll taste test it. And then I'll tell you that's another thing. You want truth tellers.
Yes.
You don't want people to say, "Oh, I love it. That's great, Tony." You want somebody to say, that tastes like crap. But if you take out that bitter taste, I think we've got something here. So give it to truth tellers.
Amen. I don't, especially in business, you don't want, like you said, you don't want people to give you false hope or false truths.
No, you want critical thinkers. You want the people who are going to say, yeah, but. Because if they say, yeah, but, for sure, the person that you're trying to pitch it to will also say, yeah, but. They will. So you might as well hear it first from the people who are not the people you're pitching it to. And then the other thing I want to say about that is you want to generate a team. So, what does a product require? It requires patenting. So eventually you want to get a patent attorney. You want to research the product because you might be surprised to learn that that product is already out there and you're wasting your time, in which case you have to be willing to scrap it and try something new. You want to get with an artist who can mock up a art project of the cover of it or the wrapping of it or however it's going to be. There are a lot of little micro habits, and it's a really super fun journey, when you get into it, because especially for creatives, it's really fun to sketch out your own, like for me, the nutritional bar, it was really fun for me to sketch it out and create what I thought was going to be a great way to present it to pregnant women, and how the vitamins were going to work, because every trimester people need new and different vitamins and so on. So it became this really creative project. And by the time I got to the nutritional company, I had already convinced a gynecologist to come with me, and it was super exciting. And I think I had everybody in that room going, ooh, ah, wow. But then, then I got the, yeah, but we love it, but it's a liability. We'd rather concentrate on sports bars because no woman is going to sue, for sports bars because it's not marketed to pregnant women. So I didn't think about that, yeah, but that's why you want your friends. And another thing you could do is have a marketing research company look at it, and you could do some preliminary marketing research, and they can test market the concept. So there's so many steps, but don't think that you're going to have everything in a neat packet. I say take out that tiny little journal. It might just be, a handful of pages, and start doodling and free associating, and let the light trickle in on an idea here, an idea there. And every day you could think of a micro habit, and continue to develop it, and then flip through the book every once in a while and say, ooh, I really like that. Oh, that gives me another idea.
Mm.
So keep generating.
Love it. No, that's a great, great, great idea, and I will rewatch this to learn from it. But well, we do have a couple more questions. Would you like that?
Yeah, go for it.
So I can't pronounce the name, but it says, how can I generate my strength when I get side swiped by a smear campaign, just going to the store and someone is saying they saw my sister and your sister miss my sister, your sister misses you, why don't you visit? And it throws you off. So it sounds like
Okay, so you're trying to work on a project, and then you get triggered by something?
yes.
Is that it? Okay, so that's where mind map 1 comes in, right? So that's why I say go back into mind map 1 and make sure that your negative core beliefs are not eating your project. Okay, so core beliefs come from childhood wounds. So if your sister, let's say, was the golden child and you were the scapegoat, and you ended up believing that your sister is better than you and that you're not good enough, that core belief that you're not good enough can eat up your project. Because as you're doing your project, you've got in your mind, oh, I'm not good enough. Oh, I owe my sister. Oh, I should call my sister. Well, if you want to call your sister, if it'll bring you light, then call your sister. But if you're trying to wipe out some core belief that you're not good enough by calling your sister, that's a problem. That's a panel 1 wound. Okay, you hope to see the difference on that. And again, I'm saying that we'll never be perfect, so don't wait for all those little shadows to be all gone, but make sure that you're operating more from the light, and that you have enough work around those childhood wounds. And I'm going to list them again. If you've been physically abused, if you've been sexually abused, if you've been verbally abused, if you've been controlled and smothered, if you have narcissistic parents, if you've been emotionally neglected, then that's where you want to do some work around mind map 1. And then when you're relatively free of that, and you can generate something other than the what the Freud breakdowns, chaos, defenses, and breakdowns, then you're ready for mind map 2.
Okay, that's great. Did that make
And
sense? If it did, please, we'd love to hear if that's made sense.
Was there another question in
We
the
do.
chat?
This is from Maya. So it says,
Hi,
I've been
Maya.
I've been through the mind map, and I'm okay for a while, but fear gets back, and it's taking a long time to get back. What is wrong what am I doing wrong? Pretty much that's what it says.
Okay, we all get triggered, me included. Okay, so I could do my own mind map, and then something will trigger me, and then I just have to stop, and I have to, the key is self reflect and self correct and dismantle the lie, because every time I buy into the lie, I go down the tubes. Just like you, Maya, I go down the tubes if I buy into the lie. However, if I stop and I source the lie, like, oh, no wonder I feel stupid. I've been called stupid for so many years, and that's just like, that doesn't make any sense, because that's somebody else's value judgment, and it's not something that I earned or didn't earn. It's just something put on me. So we have to separate the lies from the truth. And I think at the heart of the mind map, it is true that the truth will set you free. So keep pushing away the lies, keep going back over the mind map and ask yourself what you're buying into. And then if you're around people that are just too triggering for you, I suggest that you keep away from them. Some people are not worthy of your time and attention, and you shouldn't feed feed them, and you shouldn't surround yourself with them, because like anything, if you're trying to recover from being an alcoholic, you shouldn't hang out with your friends who drink. Okay, if you're trying to be a better person, you shouldn't hang out with people who are trying to drag you down. So be careful of the company that you keep. That's another big deal.
All right. I hope that helps, Maya. And I'm
And
sure.
feel free to call me, or I'll put you in touch with the team. Dr. Perry and I have been working very hard on Mind Map Your Future, and he's available to work with as well. So please do be in touch, and we'll set you up with this so that you can have this pathway and a guide to get you through the pathway, just like some of you have used the Psychological Healing Center staff, including myself, to guide you from your childhood wounds, through deconstructing them and then shifting out of the mess, and knowing that the mess can slap you in the face anytime, but this time you're not as vulnerable, or you don't buy in as easily, and you can expose the lie for what it is. There's a sentence in my book that I think is very useful. It says, identify the lie and not with it. It's very, very important. And if you still haven't gotten the book, I suggest to get the book. I know I give away the PDF version, but get the book, Amazon.com, Be the Cause, Healing Human Disconnect. And that way you can have it in your hands. You can highlight things and put question marks next to it. And, the book just hasn't grown old. Interestingly enough, I've been doing this work for over a decade, and the mind map system has not grown old. And unlike when I was a traditional therapist, I'd actually get bored because I didn't have much more to give or say. But the mind map has really kept my mind on track, and it's generative. And now that I have gotten people through so much of stage one, I think that it's important that I put out this Mind Map Your Future, so that you could start taking the steps toward actualizing your light. So again, be in touch, and go to my website, psychologicalhealingcenter.com, and you could buy the videos. The first one that I created was many years ago, called the 9-panel mind map. Do you have that copy there, so you could show people?
Let's see.
That was the original.
Where's it at? I did. Where did I see it?
No, we haven't shown it for a while, but it's on the website. And then Healing from Narcissistic Abuse, of course. That's a really powerful video that I created. And I think that it's jam-packed with information. And I really did I think a really good job in highlighting the points that are important for your healing. And if you don't want to do therapy, then go through the process. And then if you need a little extra help, then call the clinic and we'll help you through it. So with that said, I want to thank everybody for calling in. I really appreciate the questions, and don't get tripped up. Remember, I created this mind map and I still get tripped up, but that's not important. What's important is that I go over it, and then I find the cause behind the trip up, and then I keep taking myself out of chaos, defenses, and breakdowns, and I don't allow myself to buy into the lies. Okay, so thank you, everyone, and I will see you next week. Good night.